Dave.
Who is that?
That's
David.
right.
David.
You?
Yeah.
David, it's you?
David.
Little boy blue.
Yeah, so getting closed pretty quickly through there. Okay. So here's what I want you to start with. So from here, I want you to relax your neck and relax your shoulders and lead with that left heel push. So you've exited, you got your paddle out of the water. The first thing that fires is the hips. So you're gonna press with that left heel to start that process of moving. So it's hips, and then the body with the hinge, right, and then the hands come in place last. Whereas right now, you're leading there, the hips are then coming, and then you're trying to get body after. And you're not getting a lot of body, I think, with that torque. So what I mean by that, so the camera's more or less directly beside you, right? And we can basically see your entire shoulders, right? We see if you had the name on the back, we could read just about your entire name, but we don't really see much of your low back on the other side. So your shoulders are more rotated than your hips, right? So you're creating that twist in your body. And what that, you're in a bit of a rounded position here, so your mobility might be an issue anyways, but certainly with that twist in your spine, it takes away what mobility you have. And you see how the movement to the body, that armpit isn't opening up at all, you're just rounding over. Right? And so that's where you're fully buried after you're already
Right,
negative.
I noticed that.
Yeah. And then it carries through and it's a bit of an overstroke. So I'm not gonna worry about the pull in the second half. I want you thinking about leading with the hips, because then that will make it easier for you to open up, and then you can focus on opening up and getting down to your catch. And I think if you can get into a better position, it will allow you to use bigger muscles, and then everything after that's gonna change anyways. Cues you can think about, keeping that inside shoulder down, keeping that head towards the paddle in front of you. Right? If the world starts to spin on you like that, that's a good indication that you're pulling with your shoulder to settle, right? If you're moving from your hips, it's pretty easy to keep your head focused on the direction you're going. Okay, next up.
Little guy.
Little guy, tiny.
Little time.
Yeah. So now we worked on this a little bit.
Hammer in hand.
When we were working together.
Hammer in hand.
Yeah, hammer in hand, right? You got the just about the tea drinking there, but also that opening up piece down to your catch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could see before, right, how much distance you were losing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Still shoulders peaking there. That's where you're fully buried. So you lost, a good foot on your stroke, and that's what you were able to fix
Mm-hmm.
later on.
I think we're all banging into each other right there too.
Yeah, for sure. When everybody's working on stuff, that makes it a little more challenging. But here's something else to think about here too, right? So, because you're getting pretty close to his shoulder there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you probably caught it a couple times.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is where another one of the many places where that attack angle becomes important. So we've talked about, can I get a partner? So we've talked about coming up off the back and how that bottom arm never wants to be above parallel, right, as we approach. So you're paddling in front of me, right? So if I lift up high, sure, yeah, just hold your position, you don't need to move. Right? If I lift up high and I'm coming up above parallel and now I'm approaching the water that way, the tendency is that I'm gonna hit the top of the shoulder, right? So now I've got two problems, because if I hit her, it's gonna really affect my stroke, because I'm gonna bounce off of her shoulder. And if you can find someone in the boat that doesn't mind getting pinged in the top of the shoulder, that's a pretty caring, or pretty understanding team that's gonna take hits up here. If I do a good job of keeping this arm low and never above parallel, if I hit there, right? All I'm gonna do if I hit there is just bounce down into the water. It's not gonna affect my stroke really at all, right? And she's probably not even gonna notice, right? Maybe she feels a little bump and it helps her extend open a little bit, but it's not gonna fundamentally affect her stroke. Whereas if I'm coming down here, it's gonna affect her stroke and she's gonna turn around and belt me at the end of the because she's got a sore shoulder, right?
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, Tom, how again is it that you do that?
So it's thinking about on the exit, right? This is what we're talking about with that leading with the top thumb
Yeah.
and not allowing that bottom arm to come up above parallel. So I push off and I approach this way and I'm forward and down to the water and I'm seeking to be up under her armpit. Right? If I hit her lat, if I hit her tricep, anything where, you know, I've screwed up or something's gone wrong or the boat's rocked, I just hit and glance into the water. Right? Whereas if I lead with that bottom hand, I'm coming this way. So let's look at the strokes here. Everybody's above parallel.
Yeah.
Right? So now the attack angle back to the water ends up being that instead of that. So again, you can see, and I don't think you actually hit on this one, but let's imagine, for the sake of argument, that you did. Right, from here to here, I've got to go through the meat of his shoulder to get
Mhm.
there. Right, somebody's going to be unhappy through that.
So stay in lower.
Yeah, so it's really, you know, and you can let you have to be careful. It's not a big flare, but you can let the elbow just flare out slightly. Hand stays close to the boat, and it's not a big bend. Right, so it comes here, and you're leading with that bottom thumb. Or the top thumb. You're lifting, leading into the next stroke. It's a forward lift. It's not a lift up and go. It's a lift forward into the next stroke. Boom. Forward into the next stroke. Boom. As opposed to